What's up, guys? Adam aka CS Radical here, and I am going to talk to you guys today about ConBravo, which was just last weekend. I'm recording this on the Monday morning. From Friday to Sunday, Hamilton, Ontario had a relative, I guess if you're calling it convention, like if you're thinking Anime North Fan Expo, whatever else, then yeah, I guess it's much more of a smaller convention. But there was about 4,000 people that went this year in downtown Hamilton at the Hamilton Convention Center. And it was a mixture of things, whether it could be anime, cosplaying, obviously, YouTubers, gaming, all that kind of geek culture stuff. There's no, like just certain thing that's about it. It's everything and anything. So there was a lot of interesting stuff. And for me, this was actually my first convention, which was a big deal. My thing is, it's not that I didn't care for them. Although most of the time it's not like, there wasn't really people that I said, okay, I have to go just to see these people. And it's also the thing, like, I don't want to go to the really larger conventions where there's, 10,000 plus people, where it's just nothing but 2, 3, 4 hour lines of just infinite boredom. And I get bored really quickly, so if I got into stuff like that, it would completely drive me nuts. But this is my first time going this year, because there were a lot of people that I wanted to go meet up with, and in just being, a 20-minute bus ride away, and to be able to go down there all day, every day, for the entire weekend was just an awesome experience. And I'm going to basically go and recap pretty much everything I went to, saw. I'm going to plug a few people, thank a lot of people, because there were a lot of guys who were really nice enough to talk with me and give me a chance to, just a fanboy, but not in the sense of screaming and squeeing and that kind of stuff, which is going to actually end up being a radical rant in the future, because I do think I need to address that. Just the way that people treat other guests that go to these cons. But I'll get into that at another point. In terms of the actual convention, it was a lot of good and a little bit of bad. I mean, there's a mixture of both. I mean, it was such a different experience. I've never actually been to one of these before, like I'd said, so the environment alone was just really intriguing to me, and just walking around and seeing all the cosplayers and all the different panels that you could go to. You could pretty much go to a panel about almost anything, essentially in terms of game topics. I mean, even just specific series. Like, there was a Mass Effect panel. I attended a Final Fantasy panel. I got really mad because I missed a Scott Pilgrim panel because I had to go see Gaijin Goomba at the same time. So I was like, oh, why would you do that? But in terms of the cosplayers especially, I could not believe, the quality of costumes that I was seeing there. I saw so many good costumes. The thing I saw the most, I swear to God, I could have at least pointed out at least 10 different Naoto Shiraganes from Persona 4, which is absolutely insane to me. There was one specific one that I ended up meeting outside of the convention when I went to go get some food afterwards, and he had actually put in the yellow or greenish contacts, so it looked like the shadow version, which I don't ever really see a lot of people do. Nobody really goes the shadow version and get those contacts in, which looks so badass. Other things that I saw that were really cool, I ended up getting footage of a girl who did a really good Tharja from Fire Emblem Awakening, which was awesome. There was a really awesome Vasha Stampede that I didn't catch. Another one that I didn't catch, and I can't believe I couldn't have got a shot of this. There was an awesome foursome of, I think they were all girls. Either a bunch of sisters or a bunch of friends, but 3 of them were much older, and one of them was, I think must have been like 9 or 10 at most. And they were the 4 different links from 4 Swords, which I thought was really cool. I'm trying to think, what other really good ones did I see? There were a couple good, there was a Lightning in a Cloud in Cloud's DLC outfit. That was really cool. And there are a lot of really good Marvel ones, too. Those are the other ones that are really notable to me. I saw a couple really good Black Widows. There was one really good Captain America. But yeah, I mean, you get the idea. I mean, the problem too that I found out is I brought 2 cameras with me. I brought just a regular digital camera and a video camera, because I want to get a lot of footage of stuff. And then I realized pretty quickly that if you're going to be going to a lot of these panels, you're not going to have a lot of time. And B, when you do have a little bit of time left, you also want to kind of walk around and see all the shops and all that stuff. So I really didn't get nearly as much time to film as I thought I would. And even then, there were some people that I really didn't feel comfortable going up to and asking, because some of them did seem really uneasy about it. So I didn't want to bother anybody. That's the other thing too. I'm trying not to impede on anybody. And I made sure I said that every time I asked somebody for a photo op. I'm like, I'm not trying to intrude or anything. I'm just like, I really like the costume. Do you mind if I get a quick shot of it? And that was about it. But in terms of just the con in general. Like, I could not believe how many awesome panels I ended up going to. And, you know, when you think about, like, I told you guys that there was Final Fantasy and Mass Effect as a couple examples of series you could do. There were Game of Thrones and other stuff that I didn't have my interest in, but even just in terms of very controversial stuff like gender roles in video games, LGBT in gaming, which was really interesting. That was actually probably one of my favorite ones. Just the amount of people that, you know, actually cares about this shit makes you feel a little bit better, because we always have so much trouble as a gaming community really dealing with anything that isn't normal is probably the best word, or at least what's considered normal. Because you know how we sit in this world where heterosexuality is the only one that really makes any difference, and everything beyond that is just weird or creepy to people, which is a whole nother fucking topic that I don't really want to get into. But other than that, like, the amount of guests that they had were really, really good. I'm going to thank a lot of people, so I'll get to that in a minute. The only bad thing that I really noticed, and actually no, there were two things. One of them is going to be one of my radical rants, so I'll quickly just say it. I get that some of you people are huge fans of the guests that are coming, but holy crap, you need to calm down. Because they are just like you, they just happen to be YouTube famous, which to them, it doesn't really mean that much. So just the amount of people that were going absolute batshit crazy were just kind of like off-putting to me. The other thing was some of the staff, and I'm not taking shots at anybody, I'm not going to single anybody out, but there are certainly a couple of staff members that I get that there's a lot of stress in putting on an event like this, and the hours are really, really long. I was talking with one person who was saying at most he was getting 3 hours sleep. He was one of the AV guys, and he'd be there till 4 in the morning cleaning up and all that stuff, and then would be back at 8 to work again. So I get that there's stress and tiredness in that, but when I pay $45 to go to this thing, and I walk up to a door 2 minutes late to a panel, and you tell me that it's full, and not be polite about it at all, and actually be quite the douchebag about it, like making it seem like I'm the idiot that didn't think to come here sooner, you know, that makes me feel like shit, and that kind of ruined a lot of the rest of that very day for me, because I just got really upset about that, because I'm thinking, like, I literally just came from a panel to go catch this one, so it's not like I wasn't going to leave a panel really early just to stand in line for half an hour when I was really enjoying it. And then for someone just to say it, yeah, it's full. And not even being polite about it all, like not saying, you know, oh, I'm really, really sorry, but we are way beyond max capacity. We've already had to turn people away. That kind of thing, that makes me really angry, and I did not appreciate that. And there were some people, whether it was the people, you know, standing over the doors, or even some of the security later on in the night, who were just not very pleasant to be around. So, but I mean, you're going to get that with everything, but that was really my one huge negative towards anything. So, before I do all my plugs and my thanks for all the stuff, I'm going to show you all the things that I picked up. I picked up 5 different CDs, which to me, which to some people may not sound like much, but to me it's a big deal because I don't usually buy CDs, DVDs, or any of that stuff. So, first off was, if I get this up to the thing, this is Debs and Errol. They were a comedy piano and acoustic duet, and they did some really, really funny songs. They did the most notable one, well, the 2 most notable ones they played in their set. The concerts that were played were really short because they were way behind and they never got to sound check, so but it was still good nonetheless. They had 2 songs that were really notable to me. One of them is that they sang a song for 2.5 minutes about how to say I love you in many, many different languages in terms of geek things, so like Klingon, Vulcan, Elvish, all that jazz. And then they also had I believe, if I remember correctly, because this was a couple days ago now, they had a version of Let It Go, but instead of the actual lyrics of the song, they replaced it with a Star Trek kind of lyric to it, which was really cool. Next with that is a band called if I get this here, because I'm gonna fail at this for a while. These are the Blast Processors, and as you can kind of tell with the logo and the actual cover, and you can even see on the back, it really looks very Sonic. I lost the CD. Oh god. It's okay. It won't break. But yeah, they're mostly a Genesis cover band, not in terms of like covering exact songs and just instrumentals. No, they actually take like riffs from games like Sonic, like Golden Axe, for example, and they put lyrics to them. And they were really, really fun. Like a really good mixture of rock and punk. Really ended up going very well. I really enjoyed them. And just the fact that like the guy comes out with this giant helmet with a nice red light around the forehead that's going back and forth with the Genesis logo on the head. It was really cool. They were really fun to watch. And the other band that was also in that same set, and they actually have a really badass freaking cover boxes. Press Start to Play, which are very small. I didn't realize how small all these acts were until they played and I got all this stuff. But these, I'm trying to think of what I can compare them to. They're very pop-punkish, I guess, with a lot of mostly Nintendo stuff. I mean, they had a Portal song. Most of their songs seem to be about Pokemon, which I have no complaints of, especially when it's older Pokemon. They have a song about how they don't want to teach a Pokemon Flash because it's a useless move that they can't take back. You can't go wrong with that kind of stuff. And the fact that the art looks like Scott Pilgrim to me, too, it's just like, that's really cool. I love stuff like that. And the other two CDs I bought are these two, which is a Yoshi and a Zelda dubstep and EDM kind of CD with guys like Benjamin Briggs, DJ Cutman. Who else was on there? I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong. Kevin Vallejo. Who else? Spamtron, Mika, and DJ Joe are all the names that I think I got on here. Well, there's a bunch of others, but it's like more featuring. But I mean, the main guys I've pretty much gotten in. So, DJ Cutman is the guy who owns the label of the that owns the label that does all these electronic geek bands, and it's called Game Chops. And I ended up talking a lot with him during the convention. And if you haven't heard of him, just even look him up on Google image search and just see his costume. That alone should make you go, holy crap, I wonder what this guy's about. But yeah, that was all my CDs. The one thing that I was really happy to buy, and to be able to get it autographed and to meet him in person was such a big deal, but I ended up picking up Movie Bob, for those who have heard of him on The Escapist, or on the Game Overthinker on YouTube. This is his... pretty much a Let's Play in a book about Super Mario Bros. 3. It's called Brick by Brick, and as you can see, I think it was on the other side. Yep, right on the back there, autograph from Movie Bob. And he was really fun to listen to. I'll get back to thanking him later, because I want to get everything else out. I ended up getting a bunch of prints as well. There were a lot of good ones. I had to be really careful with what I picked, because I could have spent $200 alone on prints, because there were so many good ones. But I ended up going with a couple here. So here is, if I try to get this to fit in the camera, it's kind of like a Chie from Persona 4 with a mix of Pokemon, which I thought was really cool. And I mean, for anyone who knows, she is, you know, a huge, like, meat lover. Yeah, put the jokes in, I don't care. But yeah, that one was really nice. My favorite one that I got, because I would never have expected to see a poster of it, is this one of Trombone, from those who remember her from Mega Man Legends. And of course it says, you should have known better than to pick a fight with the Bonds, as she says, or as they say constantly during the Mega Man Legends games. I am so sad that they did not continue making those. It just drives me nuts. The non-gamer anime one that I ended up picking up was this guy's awesome drawing of Simon Pegg and Nick Frost from The World's End. And if you haven't seen that movie, you really should. That movie is so good. It is, and if you've seen Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz or just one or the two, like, it is the culmination of everything those guys have done together, and it's just amplified so much better. And the last one I got, and yes, there is a little bit of I guess, etchy to it. It's one of Lacus from Gundam Seed, which I'm a huge Gundam Seed person. I'm sad I couldn't get one of Kigali, because she's my personal favorite character in pretty much any anime for the most part. But, you know, I'll still take Lacus pretty happily because I'm a huge Gundam Seed guy. Although some people might hate me, I'm not the biggest Gundam person in general. Like, Seed was the one that broke with me, but, like, Wing and anything else really hasn't really resonated much with me, unfortunately. The other things I got a couple figurines along with it. I hope they stay in one piece as I hold them up. First one is an Aerith. I believe this is a Crisis Core one, or Kingdom Hearts. I can't remember which version of this is, because she's had so many different costume versions to her. But that one was really nice. And that was $15. Like, all these figurines I get are the smaller ones, because I'm not going to pay $100+ for a figurine. So all of these were $15 or $20. The next one I got was a Tosaka Rin, if I pronounced that correctly, from Fate Stay Night, which is also another really amazing series. And the other one, and I couldn't believe I saw this too, and you guys are going to say something because you're like, oh, it's only girls you get, but this one I couldn't avoid because it's from a game series that is so near and dear to my heart, and I'm so happy that they're finally making a new game of and bringing it out soon. And this is May from Guilty Gear. And the fact that Arc System Works is finally going to put out Guilty Gear, what's it called? XRD, because they're trying to say third but keep the X. I am so fucking ecstatic that they're making a new one, and it looks absolutely awesome. So, and if you haven't checked them out, Guilty Gear is one of my favorite fighting games of all time. Particularly X2 on the PlayStation 2, which I will be at some point when I can find a copy, which is going to be soon, because I'm looking at ordering a copy in. I'm going to do, because I'm thinking about starting to do a series on games that if you haven't tried, you really, really should. And a couple of games I'm thinking off the top of my head is obviously Guilty Gear, because it's not, I wouldn't say unknown, but it's definitely a series that people have not taken a look into nearly as much. Same with BlazBlue. Hawken is a free-to-play game that I also want to get a shot at, because that has probably been one of my favorite games in the last couple of months, and it hasn't cost me a thing to play, which is incredible. The last thing, and this meant a lot to me too, this guy didn't make it actually until halfway through the convention. He missed a flight and was stuck in Florida for about, 16 hours? So, Angry Joe, for those who don't know from the Angry Joe show, he completely missed most of his panels. And he was so bummed. I ended up seeing him just as he was walking around for a quick second, but he got so bombed by people. So I managed to shake Other Joe's hand during that point because nobody seems to care about him, which I feel really bad for the guy because he is just as entertaining to watch as Joe is when he's really angry. But he ended up having a surprise Q&A on the final day and ended up doing an autograph session right after, and I managed to be the first one to say hi to him, which meant a lot to me because this guy has probably been one of the biggest helpers with me making decisions on what games to get, what games to not, and especially the games that I've never heard of to try. So the fact that I was able to, on my pass, get it autographed by both him and Other Joe really meant a lot to me because he's been one of my favorite YouTubers in the last couple of years. Other guys like Total Biscuit as well have been big influences on me. And just to be able to see Joe was huge to me because he is absolutely one of my favorite guys. And if you haven't checked him out, you need to check out the Angry Joe show because he is so entertaining and does a really good job with all his game reviews. He really puts them into perspective and makes very good points on them. So, the couple of plugs I'm going to make, I got a few websites to point out. Thecomicbookshop.com, I ended up getting a bunch of things from, and they mostly did a lot of anime stuff in terms of plushies, posters, figurines, like merch, all that kind of stuff, like necklaces and stuff. They also get into the other stuff, like they also had body pillows and boobage mouse pads, which are wow, I didn't expect to see stuff like that at the convention. But then again, at the same time, it's a place where you can be very open about it. So, and I even asked them, have you sold really any of the body pillows and pads? And they're like, you have no idea how many they've actually sold. And that's really good to know because people really should be comfortable with that kind of stuff because, again, it's in your own house. Who cares? Nobody's going to notice. So, I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. You don't have to hide it. GameShops.com, again, is the label from DJ Cupman. There are so many good artists that they put on there in terms of EDM and dubstep, geek versions of stuff, which is just absolutely really cool. I'm not a big dubstep guy, so when stuff like that comes out and adds a little edge to it, like the Yoshi CD that I showed earlier, is so good. And I can't believe how much I like that, considering it's really just dance music. But when you add that kind of edge to it from taking the background music from Yoshi and throwing it in there and then adding the beats to it, it just makes it so much more bearable and really enjoyable, and I appreciate that. The other music site is geekbands.ca, which is the site that advertised all the geek bands I showed you, not the dubstep stuff, like Debs and Arrow, Press Start to Play, and the Blast Processors. They're all up on there. And you really should be checking out for any Canadian geek bands because there's so many good ones, and it's sad that not enough of them really get the actual advertising they need because some of them are really good and they never really get a chance to have an audience because, let's be honest, geek music, if you're not, certain, a couple of certain bands, you don't have any attention on you, which kind of sucks. I hope I pronounce it right, but navitoworld.com, that's Navito world.com. They are also a lot of anime merch stuff in terms of figurines and all that jazz. I got really sad looking through that website after I got back from the convention because they had a lot of stuff I wanted, but in such a high price range. Because all the ones, they carry a lot of mini ones which are cheaper, but the ones that I really wanted were all the big ones. And I'm like, I don't have $150 for that. The other couple of things, on DeviantArt and Tumblr, look up Combotron-Robot. And that's Combotron, hyphen in this case, Robot, who made a lot of really good prints, and I if I remember correctly, it's the one that did the trombone and the Chie one that I bought. If I remember correctly, it's been a while, so I can mix up a few things. Also, David McAllister, who I do know is the one that did this because I had a good 15-minute conversation with him on stuff. You can check all his stuff out at facebook.com/myworldincolor. And the other thing, and I also had a really good conversation with these people, is some of the people that were representing Sakura River Interactive, which are making visual novels, not the 18-plus one. So please get the porn shit out of your head. Not every visual novel, which is such a bad stigmatism to it. It's not all porn, okay? And some of them are really good. I've actually bought one of them after the convention, and I've been starting to play it, and it's really interesting. And the one that I bought it's called Infinite Gameworks, and they're both on Steam. You can check them both out. They're called Sakura River and Infinite Gameworks Episode 0, and they're going to be working on more episodes for that specific one. I ended up talking with, I think it was the lead programmer, he said he was, and we had some really good conversations about a lot of stuff, because I'm also going to school for computer programming, so, we had some really good conversations with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm going to post all the links at the bottom of in the description, along with pretty much all the Twitter handles for all the people that I end up seeing at the convention that I'm about to thank, and that's what I'm going to end with. And this is kind of in somewhat of an order. It's really only in an order of just the days that I saw them and what I saw them for. First off, I got to thank JonTron, and I also got to feel really bad for him. I heard from one of the staff members that he did double duty. He had done a convention the weekend prior, or what the hell was I trying to say there? The convention prior. Did I say prior? What am I talking about? But yeah, I can't remember what they said it was, SGC or something like that. He had done, and you could tell too. I passed by him on the escalator after filming the entire lineup, and it probably took me about a minute and a half to film it because it was just that long. And I said to him, "Dude, you have such a long line. I'm so sorry." And you could tell too, he looked exhausted, and he, especially with the way that his fans are acting in those lineups, they're kind of the reason that I'm going to have a rant later on how fans really treat, or at least act around their favorite YouTubers or guests or celebrities or whatever, that kind of thing. But yeah, that was awesome to see him there. I got a chance to talk to him for literally 15 seconds before he had to move on, because obviously if he stood anywhere for more than a minute, he'd be fucking swarmed. But yeah, that was awesome to see him there. Movie Bob as well. I ended up having a couple of conversations with him as well. Seeing him in his Game Over Thinker panel, he did a really good platformer panel as well. I saw him, I think it was the World's Most Frustrating Games show that he was on, and he was also very entertaining there. And just to be able to get his book and autograph nonetheless was really awesome to me. I absolutely love his stuff. If you haven't checked him out, check him out on the Escapist magazine. He does a really good, actually does two really good series of videos. One called Escape to the Movies, which is all movie reviews, and then he also does The Big Picture, which is a mixture of anything. It's just a show about, it could be anything. It could be comic book related, film related, or just ever what the fuck he feels like, but they're always really informative and really fun to listen to. Gaijin Goomba, who I also feel really bad for because he caught the con flu during the weekend, and on Sunday he looked miserable too, especially at his 10 a.m. panel. He looked so dead. And then afterwards he looked really loopy because you could tell he'd taken some medicine. But I also shared a couple conversations with him, and he is somebody that you really do need to check out, because if there's anyone that is really well informed and really gets how to present information on stuff that's really unique, it's him, because he does really good cultural comparisons with how games interact with each other, especially with how certain Mega Man bosses, for example, are certain reflections of certain cultures. It's so interesting to listen to. The first surprise that I got, there were two surprise people that showed up that I did not expect. And one of them, and he's lesser known, I will admit, which made it even more exciting to me, because I would have thought in a million years he'd be here. But Alpha Omega Sin came along with the Game Chasers, who were guys that were coming for retro gaming panels. And for those who don't know Alpha Omega Sin, he is a YouTuber. He does a lot of rantings, and he's usually very, very angry when he talks about certain subjects. He's very passionate, too. But he's also one of the goofiest people I've ever met now in person. I'm so happy that, in some of his videos, he looks so happy when he talks about things. And you meet him in person, he is such a fucking jokester. I absolutely adore him, and we had some great conversations as well. So I gotta thank him for showing up. and the Game Chasers for bringing him down. Team 4-Star sent over Anthony Antfish Sardinia, I hope I pronounced that right as well. He showed off a couple Team 4-Star videos. I missed the new episode of Dragon Ball Z Kai Abridged. I mean, of course, now they've uploaded it, so I did manage to catch it, and it was really good. But we ended up catching 2 of the films. They did Cooler, the second Cooler, I should say, and Dead Zone. And to watch that with, like, instead of just watching it with me and, like, maybe one other person, watching it with about 100 people in a room was that much more entertaining because the laughter was just so much bigger. 2 guys that I never heard of until the convention, and now I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on from now on. Linkara from Channel Awesome, he was so fucking funny at everything I saw in that. Whether it was the World's Most Frustrating Game Show, whether it was the Marvel Cinematic Universe panel, whether it was, I'm trying to think, I can't remember what else I saw him in, but I saw him at least in 3 or 4 different panels, and he is such a funny fucking guy. So that was one of them. Derek the Bard as well, who I can't remember where he's exactly from, but he did a lot of the smaller panels. Mass Effect was the big one that I saw him at. Same with the World's Most Frustrating Game Show. He was really funny there. That guy is so entertaining to watch. I had to go up and thank him, like, dude, I have no idea who you were until now. I need to make sure that changes because you made me smile so fucking much in this convention. I already mentioned him a couple of times, but DJ Cutman as well as Benjamin Briggs, who are both there at the convention showing off their dubstep equipment. And I can't remember what it's called, but Cutman had, you know, those boards that are like, I think it's 4x4 buttons, so it's like 16 buttons. And when you hold them down or press them, they make different effects that affect the track that's playing, which I saw those before. I think it was with Beardy Man, or it might have been somebody else, but I saw those and thought they were the coolest fucking things I'd ever seen in terms of, making music like that isn't, an actual instrument. And to talk with Cutman for a while, we had a lot of good conversations at the convention, so that was really cool to meet him. The Runaway Guys, Proton John, Shaka Conroy, and Nintendo Capri Sun, their Throne Controllers game show was so fun to watch. Basically, they would take audience members up. They would choose from 1 to 10 in categories. They would get questions like, they get a really easy question, or a really hard question, or a brutal hard question. And then there were also snapshots or screenshots where they take a screenshot of something, say, okay, what is this from? Or they'd have participation where they would actually play games. Like there was some people were playing each other against Mario Kart Double Dash, or Dead or Alive 5, or a Mario Party game was one of them, and that was really cool. And also the other surprise person that showed up there that I didn't know was going to be there was Lucagen, who I've seen on the Friend Zone, and I believe she's been on the Co-Optional podcast or the TGS podcast, whichever incarnation that was. But it was really cool to see her too. She was in one of those Umbreon Kigurumis, which was awesome looking. Dr. Holocaust, which, yes, I understand the name. He and Erica Sabo, who I'll get into in a minute, but he was part of a vlogging panel that he had to leave early from, but he made some really, really good points that I really have now taken to heart with how I run things. And it's going to be something that hopefully I can change in the future, because that panel really made me think a little bit better on how I'm running. But my best friend that was at the panel, Erica Sabo, we have been exchanging over Twitter for a while now, and to be able to actually meet in person was really cool. She was also the vlogging panel. She also gave a lot of really good pointers. We had a good, must have been half-an-hour conversation just on a bunch of shit. And then when the concert with the Blast Processors, Press Start to Play, and Debs and Arrow, she was there too, so we were still talking there too. It was really fun to be around her. To be able to actually meet up with somebody that I am, conversating with more than just just saying, your channel's awesome, actually having legitimate conversations and acting like, we are buddy-buddy about it, was really cool to me. And I was really glad to see that she not only was able to go there, but actually is a panelist, which is a sign that she is on her way up, and I hope that she continues to be, because she's really good. Obviously I'm going to thank the bands again, the Blast Processors, Press Start to Play, Debs and Arrow. They were really entertaining. It was a chunk of the day that I had nothing to do. I could have used that time to take more cosplay shots, but I decided that I would take that time and see some music, because I am a musician at heart, so if I didn't see anything over the course of the entire day, I'd feel like I was missing something. And they were all just really entertaining to watch. And last but not least, again, I do have to thank Angry Joe, Another Joe, for being there, because after missing your flight and being stuck in an airport for 16 hours, any normal person probably would have just gone, you know what, fuck it, we're just going home. But not only did did they still make every effort to get here, but they also took the time to make another panel just for the people who missed him, and an autograph signing because he missed the initial one as well. And that meant a lot to me, and I'm sure that meant a lot to all the fans as well, because we really wanted to see him, and we were very, very scared that that might not happen. So, with all that in mind, I gotta say, like, this is a convention that, I guess if there were another really strong group of people that were showing up next year, I would definitely go. It's, like I said, conventions are one of those things that I'm very iffy about, because it's not that I hate being around people. It's not like I'm claustrophobic or shy or anything. It's just I'm very impatient, so lines are a terrible thing for me. And I'm also very hateful towards people in terms of like how they act around others. There were some people that I was standing in line around like I wanted to smack because of the things they were saying in front of everybody else, the way they spoke, and the way they were speaking of themselves compared to everyone else. Because I get that some of us do not talk to a lot of people on a regular basis, and some of us, like me, don't have the chance to really articulate the thoughts and do a lot of videos where we are able to talk without making it sound like we're being an asshole about it, in terms of, saying, oh, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. We understand how to be objective about things. But when people are standing in line and talking like they deserve to be able to do whatever they want, and then when some people were saying, oh, when I'm going to go into that panel, I'm going to ask that guy, why the hell did he say that? That's so wrong. When it's just an opinion, it makes me nuts. It really does, because, again, you are allowed to dislike something, but at no point can you say, like, oh, that person's opinion is wrong. You can't sit there and say, I'm going to go in there, but I still hate him for what he's done. Your voice will always be heard when it's not heard at all. Because if we've learned anything, it's especially in business, if you don't put your money towards anything, people will notice. If you don't say anything about something, in most cases, depending on what the issue is, that will make a big deal too. But, either way, I really enjoyed the convention. I would definitely go again, like I said, if there was a really good lineup. If it was just like maybe one or two people, I'd be like, nah, maybe I can avoid it. Who knows? But anyway, wow, this was long. This is 30 minutes as I look at it right now. But yeah, thanks to everyone who showed up. Thanks to all the guys who were really comfortable with all their cosplays. I was amazed by some of the costumes I saw. Obviously, I wasn't disgusting and try to take pictures of the scantily clad ones. There were a couple ones that I'm like, okay, if I go up to this person and ask for a picture, they're thinking I'm just looking for something to whack off to. But, yeah, I gotta say, I'm amazed. I was actually going to cosplay. I was going to cosplay as Athrun from Gundam Seed, but I couldn't get a costume delivered fast enough. Also, I'd be the worst sewer in the world, so there's no way in fucking hell I'd ever do that. But yeah, it's amazing to me when I go to that for the first time, seeing how many people actually are comfortable enough to do that. And it's a really good sign, because you really should never be uncomfortable with that, because you're now in a place that everybody's in the same boat as you. So it's like what I said with the body pillows and the boobage mouse pads that were at one of the stands. It's like, you're in a place that everybody else is probably thinking the same thing. They're like, oh man, I would love to curl up to a Hatsune Miku body pillow or something like that. Yeah, obviously some people don't, but some people can kind of look at that imagery and go, okay, she is really beautiful, that kind of stuff. Because again, I'm the same way with anime art, where obviously I understand what reality and fiction is, but I can still look at a picture of, say, Kigali from Gundam Seed, who is one of my favorite female characters in any anime, and look like she is fucking gorgeous. Holy crap, if she was real, I would actually, wish that I could be around her. That kind of stuff. But again, understanding the differences between fiction and reality, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's amazing to see that people are really comfortable with that kind of stuff, and it was amazing to be able to talk with a lot of people at the same time. While I had a couple of people that I wanted to punch, there were a lot of people that I had really good conversations with. So, other than that, I'm going to leave off this by asking you guys who are watching, if you went to either this convention or have gone to other conventions, what did you really enjoy about being at conventions? And if you haven't gone to one, what's your big reason? I mean, like I said, I just don't like being around a major group of people, because you're going to always get those people that you're just not going to want to be around, and especially when you're going to be waiting in lines for an hour plus, you don't want to deal with that. The longest I think I waited in any line was maybe 30 minutes, which isn't nearly that bad. So, but yeah, put in the comments below, what's your favorite moment from a con. And if not, if you haven't gone, what's your reason? So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks to everybody that I mentioned, seriously. Like, you made this so much of a fun weekend for me. So with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. You can follow me at CS Radical on Twitter. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you're saying. I gotta get the plugs away, I'm sorry. And, I think that's it. Other than that, I'm going to be looking at, like I said, doing some more videos in terms of games you might not have tried, that kind of thing. So keep your eyes posted. Hopefully I will get some more content up. I am really getting bogged down with homework now because we are at the tail end of the semester in college, so I'm going to try my damnedest to get stuff out as quickly as I possibly can. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you later.